So this is Jason Straw again. Governor Holcomb talks about putting our efforts towards making marijuana legal. And, 33 states, which is the super majority of the states, have legalized medical marijuana. 26 have decriminalized marijuana. 11 have fully legalized it. And this is because the federal government has rolled back restrictions so that the Department of Justice will not interfere with these state programs. And this is because of the Rohrabacher-Farr or Rohrabacher-Blombauer Amendment, which this idea started in 2001. And they keep passing this amendment or law that has to be renewed each year. And so there are provisions in the federal government for this. And, Governor Holcomb talks about, these issues of it not being legal. Well, the federal government does have programs for medical marijuana. And these programs, such as the federal cannabis supply through the Compassionate Investigation New Drug program, which is managed through the University of Mississippi for these patients, which have been going on since 1976, which there are links here I have provided. And, I talked to the Indiana Drug Commissioner, Jim McClellan, about the research that Dr. Solka was doing in the New England states, which was very promising back in the beginning of 2017. And now the research has come out since Dr. Solka's treated over 20,000 patients in the clinics with a team. And they did a study with over 500 patients that showed that 39% of opioid addicts or opioid use disorder patients gave up their opioids completely. And another 39% ended up reducing their opioid use. So that's a total net benefit of 78%. So that's, if I remember right, that means that this is showing promise that's better than any medical assistant treatment that we currently have. And so I want to listen to what Governor Holcomb was talking about in his interview that the media had with him about these.
Idea, legal. And I have even said, and I'm sympathetic to potential medicinal use. If it truly, there are a lot of drugs that have to get FDA approval that probably would be very beneficial. But they have to go through a process, a medical process. And marijuana's not done that. Now we have one of the best agricultural schools and one of the best medical schools in the country who have agreed to do some of the research. So if it is legal, and in the federal government we're serious about drug interdiction or the medicinal use, or recreational for that matter, I have concerns about that. Just because I talked to other governors, some of which it's legal in their states, some of which have 6-year supplies of marijuana on the shelf right now. And they thought it was going to be the answer to everything. And what they're seeing is, for any benefit financially that is brought into their state, it's caused a lot of expenses, like increased THC level in babies' bloodstreams at the hospitals, like workplace accident.
So let's address some of those issues. Increased THC in infants. So there's actually a study that was done on mothers who used heavy use of marijuana every day. And they found that when they studied these babies, the federal government did a study, and that the babies had no issues, even 5 years later. there was no developmental delays. Wow, imagine that, Governor Holcomb. The federal government actually did a study, and they went down to Jamaica with these women who were smoking daily marijuana, and it had no long-term effects on these babies in the first 5 years of their development. And some of the babies even had better development than the babies that didn't have mothers who smoked. And then he talks about workplace accidents. Well, here's another study. There are several studies that the Business Insider was looking at, and they found that, wow, a 19.5% decrease in fatal work injuries for people who were 25 to 44 years old that adopted medical marijuana laws. So that debunks two of your concerns that you brought up that you were just talking about. Let's see what else you have to say.
Like interstate accidents under the influence, like addiction.
Okay, let's look at interstate accidents here. Interstate accidents. Interstate accidents. They say interstate accidents. Interesting, there was an increase, was temporary, and the rates went back to normal after about a year. And we all know that cannabis can be addictive. Has about the same addiction as coffee. So yes, some people can have a problem. That is a concern. So there's no physical addiction, so you don't have to worry about withdrawals. So it's just a habit-forming addiction. That's what they've come up with at this point. So, all right, I will concede that point to you, Governor Holcomb. Let's see what your other concerns are here.
Like the potency of the THC in today's marijuana is far greater than, forget Woodstock, 2 years ago.
All right, so potency of THC is a concern of yours. All right, so yes, it might be greater, but it's regulated in legalized states. So we have no regulation here in Indiana. So when people go in, they don't know what they're getting in Indiana. You just get what you get. But when you go into a regulated state, you have labeling and you know what you're getting. So the other thing is, since 1985, the FDA has approved synthetic THC for use in patients as a Schedule III medication. Yes, it's called Marinol, and it's about 200 to 300% stronger than any joint that's out there. Yes, yes. So Governor Holcomb, it is so much stronger than any marijuana that's currently out on the market, and any prescriber can prescribe it for patients. And it is for wasting syndrome. Yes, if you have a poor appetite. And it is for nausea for chemo patients. And they're using it off-label for migraines. Oh my gosh. And the problem is, it doesn't have the entourage effect to help benefit. You don't get as much benefit if you don't have the entourage effect of the other cannabinoids, terpenes, flavonoids. And patients who use real marijuana compared to Marinol, which is synthetic, which costs way more. You know, you're talking about initial costs of $600–700 a month, compared to when I went out to Oregon, it was $5 or $10 for me for a month's worth. Literally, a month's worth in Oregon was $5 or $10. Compared to when you just start Marinol, you're talking about $600–700. Okay, So this is what we are dealing with. Now, let's see what else you have to say, Governor Holcomb.
And so all the expenses that are coming with legalizing these drugs. Look, there was a survey that just came out here this week as well. You mentioned some of these bills were filed yesterday. There was a survey that came out this week as well that said 1 in 5 American high school students have vaped marijuana. So I would say, you think more of that?
All right. So you are saying that 1 in 5. All right. So here's survey, and they've been following kids for years, and it says that just under 5% of 10th graders said they use marijuana daily, compared to 3.4 in 2018. 3% said that they specifically vape marijuana daily. The percent of 12th graders who said that they vape marijuana at least once in the past 30 days nearly doubled between 2018 and 2019, according to the new data from the Monitoring the Future survey. They increased from 7.5 to 14%. You know, this survey just came out on the 18th of December. That was yesterday. So I don't know where you're getting your information, Governor Holcomb, or who's providing it to you, but that doesn't sound like 20%. Or, yeah, 20%. 14%, I mean, maybe if you try to round, I don't know if you remember rounding, but, you know, you have to hit 5, and then you might be able to round to 20. But, you know, this is what they're saying. That's 1 in 6, not 1 in 5. So let's see what else you have to say, Governor Holcomb.
Will come if it's legalized? I would say yes. Or do you think less of it will if it's legalized? Because the argument is if we make it legal, we'll be able to regulate it. Hasn't been the case in California or Oregon or what. So, you know, I'm not ready for legalize it all. Because
all right, so you're not ready. You're not ready. But on our surveys, you know, we're getting 80% of the population in Indiana says they're ready. So how come you get to decide for the people of Indiana and pressure the politicians in the House and Senate? How come you get to decide for us? Shouldn't we, the people, get to decide if we want to try a plant to help us have a better lifestyle, since we are ranked as one of the lowest unhealthy states in the country, Governor?
Because of all these potential adverse effects that we're seeing around us for the pursuit of money. However, again, sympathetic to from a medicinal perspective, we need to learn more. And at the same time, I would say their attention and energy.
So we need to learn more. In 2017, the National Institute of Science, Engineering, and Medicine reviewed 24,000 articles, journals, and studies, and their number one finding was that cannabis, the plant, was good for adult chronic pain, along with many, many other things. Some things, yes, needed more research, but the number one finding was it was good for adult chronic pain, which we could substitute for opioids. And Indiana has a huge opioid abuse problem that we are trying to fight with Narcan, which we're spending almost $30 million a year using a Band-Aid solution. So let's get all hands on deck and look at this research and get medical marijuana involved in helping solving some of Indiana problems, Governor. What do you think of that?
It would be better spent trying to actually make it legal.
And it looked like Kim Tingle on Facebook.
So, so you want us to try to make it legal. That's what we're trying to do by bringing it to the Indiana State House and Senate, and to you, Mr. Governor, is we're putting our efforts into making it legal. And because that's what the federal government said, is we want to make it a states' rights issue, and you just say, no, I'm not ready for it yet. Thank you, Mr. Governor. This is Jason Straw, U.S. Air Force trauma nurse, signing out, because we understand that even though you say you are compassionate and Indiana has a right to try law, you will not help us get compassion for the people here that need it. Good day.